Hi, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about your marketing message. Okay, so today I want to change speeds a little bit. Enough about apps, enough about marketing, all that kind of stuff. Today I want to start talking about dating advice, right? Because when I was younger, I was kind of, I was kind of a ladies' man, So what I thought I would do now is, give some of the younger people out there some dating advice, some of that kind of stuff, and then maybe we could change it to Overpass, apps, and dating advice, right? So I want to cover the topic of asking somebody out on a date, right? So here's what I used to do when I was a young man, right? So I was in the Army, so I would go to someplace public, and I see a young lady sitting there, and I would. I'd sort of stroll up, really cool and smooth, right? And I would wait till she looked up and we made eye contact, and then I would say, "Go out with me, 8 o'clock, Tuesday, meet here." And then I'd turn around and I'd walk away. It was smooth. No, actually what I really did, right, was I'd go up, and then when we made eye contact, I would say, "Hey, could you really help me out? Nobody will go out with me. So if it's possible, could you possibly go out with me and then give me some feedback on why, so I could get better at it? So that would be really helpful. Thanks." All right. So okay. All right. So obviously I'm not going to give dating advice. I'm the last person in the world to give dating advice. But I want to talk about something I see a lot in comments on YouTube and also on social media. It's the tactic of just saying, "Download my app," and then a link, right? Which is the same as saying, "Go out with me," right? Download my app and then a link. I mean, have you ever seen something like that and decided, oh, that looks worth it, I'm gonna give that a try, and click through, right? Of course you don't. There's no reason to. It doesn't say what it does. There's no reason to believe there'll be anything for you. And the other side of the thing too was, if somebody's asking you to download it, it's sort of like it's about them and their needs and stuff like that. Now, one thing you may notice about me is that I read a lot of books, right? I mean, I mention a lot of books, so I read about a book a week, and I have done pretty much for like 12 or 13 years. So I read a lot of software development books, personal development books, sales and marketing books, stuff about, content and writing, losing your accent, that kind of stuff. I mean, I read so much junk. If you looked at my Kindle, you'd be like, "Man, Eric, there's something wrong with you," right? But so I read, good things and bad. But one thing about sales books that they always mention is this acronym of WIIFM, which stands for "What's in it for me," which is what a prospect, or if you're selling to somebody, it's what's always going through their head. So that's something you have to think about as a salesperson. And the thing about being an independent app developer is you can't just think about the code, you can't just think about the software. You have to start looking at loads of different fields. You have to look at sales, you have to look at marketing, you have to look at content, you have to look at all kinds of different things. And this is one thing that I learned a lot from the sales books, is thinking about what's in it for your prospect and what makes it compelling for them to actually to do that. So last week I talked about when I was out of work. I was out of work for like a month, and I told you how I would go to these interviews and I would have this desperation dripping from me. And then eventually I did get a job. And one of the reasons I did get that job was because I had 2 interviews lined up and it was less desperate. Right, so and then later on when I became a contractor, I got really good at it. I went to a lot of interviews, and I got really good at doing it to the point where, like, almost every time I would get the job or the offer. So sometimes I would get the offer, and I'd say, "Nah, I don't want to do that," right? And one of the things that really changed there was my perspective of it. So when I was like desperate for a job, I'd go in there, and my whole mentality was that this company has a job. I need a job. Now, if I go in there and if I impress them enough, and if they're nice enough, if they're feeling kind enough, then they might give me that job that they have that I need, right? Which is coming from this position of lack, right? And later on as a contractor, I started to see things as they really were, right? I started to go in there and see they have a problem, whether it's, if it's for a contract, they might have a specific problem. If it's for a job, then they have more work than they can handle and they need somebody to help. So they have a problem. I have a solution. I'm going to go in there and find out if I can solve their problem. So I would go in there not from this position of desperation and this mentality of lack. I would go in there and think, how can I help them? So it changed a lot because it didn't go in there me talking about me, just answering the questions they ask and just talking about myself. It was me asking questions about them to where, it was almost like I was interviewing them. Like I would go in there and say, what kind of software are you using? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? What kind of stuff? So it was, they had to impress me and I didn't have to impress them, which was a much better position to be in, right? And this is the case a lot with the apps too, right? You have to start, this is my opinion, you could disagree with me, whatever, I'm not, I'm a software developer, I make apps, right? I'm not like a marketer or anything like that, except for, for my apps. But say if you change your perspective on the way you market your apps, right? Is rather than think, if they're nice enough, they'll download my app, right? And you start thinking about the fact as it really is, like, your person has a need or a problem or a desire and you have a product, right? So, you're trying to, give them the product. So let's say instead of saying download my app and then include a link or asking them to do you a huge favor and download it, let's say we change the language to say, hey, I know you really like, let's say it's about Candy Crush. Let's say my game's like Candy Crush, because I'm trying to refer this to games because I know a lot of you guys are games developers, but I use this technique for, language learners and stuff like that. So let's say it's my game is similar to Candy Crush because it's one of the few games I know about, right? So let's say, hey, I know you like Candy Crush. You mentioned you like Candy Crush. Now I have a game that I think you'll really like, right? We took all the best parts of Candy Crush and we made it even better. And if you give this a try, I think you'll really be pleased, right? And this is a message that's not all about me. It's not all about the app. This is about you. And this is how I think my product can help you, right? So, and again, that might not be the perfect message, right? It's, every situation is different, right? But if you start changing your perspective and thinking about your marketing message, how do you present yourself, right? Whereas the fact that, as an app developer, as somebody who has a product on the market, you have a product and there are people out there who need that product, or they might enjoy your product or whatever, but they don't even know about it yet. So, it's not them, out of the kindness of their hearts, downloading it or buying something. It's you being able to provide value and being able to demonstrate to them that, your app or your product is the perfect fit for them. So just, really, I know that seems very generic, that seems very, kind of high level, but there's a big difference between coming from the position of lack, saying, please download my app, and the position of, hey, I think you will really enjoy my application. I think, based on what I know about you, if you do have a relationship, even if you don't, you think, you could say, you can even use social proof, say, people have said that this app is better than Candy Crush or whatever from your reviews and stuff like that. So anyway, that's it for today. Think about your marketing message. Think about how you present things. Don't leave those comments anymore. Say, download my app and then a link. They never work. Have they ever worked for you? They've never worked for me. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.